Hi friends, it's Peter, and it's Saturday on Genderqueer Chat. This week we're talking about support groups. The question is, do you attend a support group and would you recommend it? I do not currently attend a support group. I have in the past, and I've been to a couple different ones. When I was in college, I guess I should preface this by saying that I'm really not a joiner, and I'm not the kind of person who goes to these, I mean, not just support groups, but like, I don't know, clubs and, you know, sports teams. And yeah, it's just not really my kind of thing. But my senior year of college, I did wind up pushing myself to go to a support group that was on campus, and there were a lot of queer people at my school, and there were probably about eight-ish, around 8 people at that group, and it wasn't really helpful for me at that time in my life. I think that it was a kind of a problem of leadership of the group, that there wasn't someone with like a really clear vision of how the group could be best, how it could really help people. Because a lot of times it was just sort of sitting around and talking about things that weren't really related to anything. We never had like a focus, like a topic, a discussion topic for the week or anything. It was just a little bit scattered. Eventually I stopped going. And then I didn't go to any sort of support group until when I was living in England. I went to a support group there, and I only went once. And it was really good. It was a really good group. I was living in like the queer capital of England, so there were actually a lot of trans people that like living in the city in general. So it was a pretty large group, but it wasn't structured like it was like all afternoon people wandering in and out, and just sort of sitting around and talking and having personal conversations. So again, it didn't really, I felt like it could have potentially been helpful, because you know, there were certain times when people would start talking about things that were, you know, of interest to, you know, the group. But mostly it was personal conversations, and I never went back to that. But I don't want to discourage people from going to support groups, even though I have not had super positive experiences. I think that they can be really helpful. I think even if you're like me and not a joiner, you know, and you feel like it's not really your thing, I think that if you can push yourself to go at least a few times, you'll at least get something out of it. I think that anytime you're, you know, meeting other genderqueer people, other trans people, other queer people, that it can be helpful, whether it's, you know, a formal meeting with, you know, that's structured and or whether it's even just a casual get-together. I think that they can be really super helpful. So I do encourage people to go, even though I don't go to one currently. I will also just mention that my parents actually go to a support group regularly, and it has helped them so much. So, I mean, they really were struggling with my transition, and going to the group, you know, for over time, they've come so far, really. It's been kind of amazing to watch. So it's organized through PFLAG, and they're a national organization, so I imagine that they must have these groups all over the country. So each, you know, location would have a different group leader. I don't know how different the different locations are, but based on my parents' experience, they actually went to 2 different ones. Because we live outside of Washington, D.C., so there's, you know, of the suburbs of Washington, D.C., for those of you who don't know, there's Virginia suburbs and then there's Maryland suburbs. So my parents went to both the group the trans support group in Virginia and the group in Maryland. And they really didn't like the one in Virginia, and there was like nobody there. There weren't, there was hardly ever anyone else at the meeting. Sometimes they actually showed up once and they were the only ones there, often there'd be just like one other, couple, But the other group, the Maryland group, they like a lot better. So I guess probably based on where you are geographically, that will probably influence the experience you have in a support group. I know, I was thinking about, someone like Sam who lives in San Francisco. There's probably going to be a much wider diversity of people represented at the support groups and just more people at the support groups than a place like Virginia, for instance, where there's just not really a lot of people showing up. So yeah, I guess that's really all I can think of to say. But I would, as I said, I would recommend support groups, absolutely. Even if you're not going to make it a regular thing, just to go a few times to see what it's like and to see what you can get out of it. And definitely, if you have people in your life, family members, significant others who are struggling with not knowing how to deal with your transition, I would recommend sending them to a support group for like a PFLAG kind of thing. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. So hope that was helpful. Sorry if it wasn't very interesting. I'm feeling kind of low energy because I just got back from vacation and I have like a coming down off my vacation kind of feeling like I have to go back to work next week. So I'm trying not to be bummed out about that, but I hope you're having a good weekend and a good week, and I'll see you soon.